To this story now, former Limpopo Head HOD Thokozani Mhlongo's pension benefits have been frozen. The SIU was granted an order interdicting the government employees' pension fund from paying her out. She's implicated in PPE corruption of 180 million rand. Let's speak now to SIU Spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago. Mr. Kganyago, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Now, as a start, I must say it's quite heartening to see this new era where our agencies are no longer satisfied with just having corrupt officials vacate their senior posts. But you're saying no, also you must pay back the state what you took from it. Just take us through what your investigations uncovered about this irregular and wasteful expenditure.
Good morning, Mhlongo, and good morning to your viewers. We have been following up on some of the outcomes that we got from the PPE investigations that we did in 2020-2021. And we were able to then, in this particular instance, to find that there were some irregularities in the Department of Health in Limpopo. And at the center of it is the head of department, Dr. Mhlongo. And one of the things that we were looking at, for example, is the issue of the appointment of service providers. And among others, there were companies such as Clinicpro and Dia Business Trading that were not appointed in a manner that is regular. Therefore, that made the department to incur regular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful expenditure of approximately 182 million rand. And we went further to look at the issues that related to cell phones that were bought. There were about 10,000 cell phones that were bought at a value of about 10 million rand. And she, as the head of the department, had signed for those to be bought because supposedly they were supposed to be used when they do a door-to-door campaign during the COVID-19. But when we arrived, after they were bought, only 388 of them were distributed. The rest were still in storerooms, and none of them had even the appliances or the applications that are supposed to be used for that purpose. And all of that resulted in this expenditure that we're talking about.
Was there perhaps any documentation that indicated how they arrived at a decision to even procure 10,000 cell phones if only 388 were going to be distributed?
There were documentations, but all of those documentations were indication that they just wanted to spend the money, because if that was as urgent as they wanted it to be, they would have distributed. Firstly, they would have put the required application in the phone. And secondly, they would have distributed, because they were meant to go and register people in their homes at that particular time. And that was not the case. Up until now, I don't think they have ever been used. That is why they are fruitless and wasteful expenditure.
And 10 million, 10,000 phones at that cost, one would have assumed they would have gotten the cheapest of them all, but clearly they were somewhat top of the range or in between there. But insofar as the distribution of the 388, was the correct procedure at the very least followed when distributing those 388?
Obviously, they assume that the procedure was followed, but we're not sure of it, because we were told after we left that the remaining 9,000 something were distributed quickly after we had left the offices. And basically, they have given those cell phones away to people, even when the COVID was no more an issue for people to use those phones for.
So how much, if we had to quantify, of the 180 irregular spending are you looking to get back or recoup from her? Have you been able to do the calculations already? Is there a specific percentage now?
Not necessarily. We rushed into the tribunal to go and freeze her pension, because we felt that all of this has to be, because we have already found that they are irregular, there must be a way of recovering. Therefore, when she then resigned with immediate effect, after we had sent a referral to the MEC to discipline her, then we knew that she's trying to run away from something. And then we said, let us go for a pension, freeze it. And we are now given 60 days to institute the proceedings with the tribunal. And then now what we are doing in the tribunal is to set aside those contracts that are irregular. And then at that point, if they are set aside, between ourselves and the tribunal will determine the quantum and then be able to distribute accordingly. Because it's not only her, it's those companies have benefited and many other people in the chain that would have benefited. The law says no one can benefit on an unlawful contract, and we have got to set it aside and make it unlawful first before we determine that.
Broadly speaking, How great of a role has the tribunal played in this instance for it to actually be empowered to freeze the assets and intervene in the way that it has been doing on a number of cases?
I think the tribunal for us is a game changer. When the head of the SIU looked at the law in 2018, 2019, he realized that there is this part of the legislation that we are not utilizing. That's why he then, as Advocate Mutibi, approached the president, made representation, and the president signed for the re-establishment of the tribunal in 2019. And between then and now, everybody can see that they are definitely going out of their way to make sure that they listen to our cases, because they can only prosecute or not prosecute. They can only deal with matters that come from the SIU. And we are able to, when we finish our investigation and we want to recover, we go to them, but we also have to present the case that is really worth the paper that is written on, to make sure that they give us the awards. Therefore, we are able to, we can clearly say it is a clear game changer to have the special tribunal, because now we are no more queuing with many other people in the high courts.